Just FYI, Matt's not gonna be here tonight, like I just got an email. Okay, so we are on, everyone, and I would like to open the agenda for the Georgetown Planning Board, August 23rd, 2017, Memorial Town Hall, third floor conference room. It's about 7 minutes past 7 o'clock, and we have minutes, vouchers, no vouchers, we have some correspondence we're gonna talk about. We have some surety with Palmer Lane we're gonna talk about, and then we have scheduled, I'm not sure if we're gonna be having all of them, but we have 3 public hearings scheduled. One for Bailey Lane, one for Georgetown Plaza, and one for 1A, 1B rear Spalding Road. Then we have new business, which is the special permit application for 198 East Main Street. And then if we still have energy, we have a planning office workshop discussion on the very complex OSRD package. So with that, let's go to the minutes.
Mr. Chairman,
Sir.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the June 14th, 2017 minutes as presented.
Second.
Motion has been made and it's been seconded to approve the June 14th, 2017 minutes as presented. Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
2 yes, 2 absent. 3 yes, 2 absent.
Mr. Chairman,
Please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the June 28th, 2017 minutes.
Second.
I do have a correction if there is a second for that.
Second.
Motion has been made and it's been seconded to approve the June 28th, 2017 meeting minutes. Any discussion? Harry?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Under the, on the very first page, it would be line number 17. This is June 28th, right, John? The final amendment that was composed for the, it says medical marijuana bylaw, that should be recreational marijuana bylaw, right?
Right.
Catch. Anything else?
There is one other thing. In the very first, it's line number 7. We need to add Matt Martin's name to that. He was present.
And you know that because,
All of the votes are, oh, wait a minute, excuse me, that's my mistake.
He was
My mistake,
present on the-
that's on the 14th.
Right, he was there on the 14th, the 28th.
he wasn't
But he
here.
wasn't, I don't think he was there.
My apologies. That was the July,
Yep.
the July one.
We usually list their,
Sorry.
John, if
Yep,
anyone's
sorry.
absent and their name next to it, right up in the top, so that we don't get mixed up.
Anything else?
I don't see anything else.
Okay, any more discussion on the minutes?
We did, I thought we had accepted the special permit application for East Main 29A, 29B.
What line are you on?
It's not even there.
Oh,
You, on line 35, on the first
public
page.
hearing 1A, 1B?
Yeah,
Yeah?
the Spalding Road run. I thought we had voted to accept that special permit application as well as the opening the special permit. Yeah, it might not be in this particular order,
We did.
We did.
but it's not
We did.
anywhere there in the rest of it either, so.
Exit.
I think you did it when you continued the public hearing, and I think that was when it was on page 2 and 50.
When we continued it. Continue to tonight. Right?
Yep. Anything else?
Oh, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, hearing no more discussion, with the amendments as noted,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of June 28th, 2017 with the corrections that we have just made.
as noted. Second?
Approve, second.
Okay, motion's been made, it's been seconded. Seeing no more discussion, all in favor of approving the minutes as amended on June 28th?
Aye.
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 3 yes, 2 absent. July 12th.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of July 12th with corrections made tonight, because there are some.
Second.
Motion's been made and been seconded to approve July 12th meeting minutes with corrections to come. Harry, discussion?
Thank you. First thing is line 3, it says July 14th, should be July 12th, right?
Yes.
Okay, that needs to be corrected. This is the one where we need to add Matt.
Yeah, that's right.
Because he was here.
Mhm.
He's not showing on the thing now. And actually, that was the only one I found.
Okay.
There's only 2 I found,
Good.
I should say.
Okay, I found one on line 37, page 1.
Hmm?
We were talking about the trees, and which increases, will increase to $10,000 on this 122,420. What's written is which includes, but it was omitted from the 122,420.
Sorry,
Do you
guys, I
remember
can't,
that?
I can't help you with that. I was recused from that
Yeah.
one, I'm sorry.
All right.
I can't help you with
It
that.
sounds right, but it is an important one, and maybe we should just verify that and not
Yeah,
approve these
verify
minutes,
that,
but-
sure,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't recall exactly, but I think you're right. Okay, so,
That's it, thank you.
okay, so with those, I think we'll table these minutes.
Do you wanna just table them, or
And,
let John correct it?
let John correct it and come back at the next meeting.
Sounds
Okay.
good to me, Mr. Chairman.
We do not have any vouchers, and we have correspondence. We have the first item of correspondence, 11 Martel Way, status of porous pavement. And I suppose, John, you wanna
Yes.
give us an update?
Well, in addition to what you've had a chance to read in the staff report, I did go out to the site today in lieu of a good rainstorm that I was able to witness to see what was going on out there, and during a rainstorm. I was fortunate enough to knock on the door, and there was somebody inside, and we hooked up a hose, and we drenched the parking lot. Again, as described in the staff report, the parking lot area itself had a decent amount of absorbency with that pavement. On the driveway itself, which probably has an 8% pitch going down towards the turnaround, I did try to upload. It's terrible reception here. I took the photos with my phone, and they wouldn't upload. And I went outside and just didn't work, but I'll just have to give you my verbal. So, spraying probably 20 gallons of water on the driveway. Not wasting water, but just letting it flow down. You could see what was going on. The grade was not, because it's so steep, it doesn't hold the water and really doesn't allow for the absorbency in the pavement that you would think would happen. It's supposed to be porous, so the water's running down it. It gets to the lip, and there's a small lip in the turnaround of Martel Way, and the water dissipated left and right. There's a crown in the driveway, as there should be with any paved surface, road or driveway. So the water, when it got down to that lip, went left, right, left. My other right, my other left. The ground surface around the perimeter of the cul-de-sac is higher than the turnaround pavement surface itself. So the water running down to the right towards this substantial wetland absorbed itself into the vegetated environment to the right. And the same thing occurred on the left-hand side too. And it is a higher elevation, and there's no direct lower elevation route to any wetland associated with this particular site and associated with the water runoff that I had put on the driveway. So, all in all, the driveway surface, as reported in the staff report and as witnessed today, is not porous. So that finding earlier of the board is still intact. There is a decent amount of porosity involved with the parking surface. And none of that parking surface sheds water towards the driveway. It pockets in a corner in the westerly corner, which has a substantial Cape Cod berm there. And I did go up there this morning, first thing on the way to work, and there was no puddling in the parking surface, and there was no puddling at the base of the intersection. There was no standing water whatsoever. That was this morning, right after that substantial rain last night. Now, as I showed everybody in the other photos of the driveways leading to the site along Martell Way, July 25th, a day after a 2-inch rain, there was standing water then, and you see that in the photographs. Well, today, again, that standing water lasted all day, because I did go out there right before the meeting, and all of those existing puddles in the photographs, including the staff report, were out there this morning. They're still out there today. So you have a lot of non-functioning driveway intersections along that way. The only one not having any standing water involved with it was 11 Martell Way. All of that being said, and I'm sure everybody here in these previous meetings before my employment, and there was a lot of discussion and review and whatnot, and, you know, it resulted in a $50,000 escrow account being established relative to figuring out what the ultimate decision will be with the parking lot and driveway.
So just in terms of the agenda, so it says correspondence McCann letter dated. I'm assuming that's the letter that is the dated July 10th?
Yes.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's attachment A.
That was attachment A. So that was one question. The other question was the attorney coming tonight?
No, she's on vacation.
So what were they hoping, if anything, to accomplish with the
Initially,
correspondence?
when this all started, what they wanted to accomplish was for the board to consider deferring action, because they were still working on it.
Yeah.
Now, in the meantime, the previous owner of the property came to my office and wanted to find out, you know, what, if anything, was going on to progress
Yeah.
this situation. And at that point in time, I talked to her for a little while in the office, and I decided, you know what, let's go out to the site and take a look at it. You know, I really like to get hands-on, and, you know, I went out there, and it was kind of a fortunate situation, because the day before we had that big rainstorm.
Right.
You know, left 2 inches of rain everywhere in the area.
So the fact that they're not here tonight, is the board to be acting in any way tonight?
Well,
are you
the
expecting?
previous owner might be
Just
here, I'm
wanna
not
get
sure.
clarification on that. I didn't see anyone from them here.
No,
Okay.
they're
So,
not.
so if they're not here tonight,
Mhm.
and your report has been given, what I'd like to do is, you know, give each board member, you know, a couple of minutes for questions, whatever, but to then just continue on the agenda.
Absolutely, if I could just, not even question, the report was comprehensive, the pictures, the photos, everything. It sounded to me, John, just so you know, I mean, I was the one that went out there when this was all happening. I jumped the I did the bottle test.
As legend has it.
Legend, yeah, legend had it, did the bottle test and it just ran. And it's sounding to me like everything that they did to test and try to get it to function made it work.
It sounds.
From everything you're telling me, it's doing now what it was not doing when I was out there.
Just the parking area is porous. That is absorbing.
That's
The driveway.
That's kind of cracking me up, because when you looked at the actual plan,
Mm.
it was the driveway that was supposed to be porous, and the parking lot didn't have to be.
Yeah. It's the other way around.
See, the thing with the driveway too, I mean, you
It's
can
that
see,
the
yeah.
slope there is killer. Porous pavement doesn't work on anything greater than a 5% slope.
No, and plus it was, you can tell when it was put in, it was put in, yeah, with the heavy roller
yeah.
and the bitumen,
Slope.
you know,
Yeah.
sealed with the aggregate, and there's no absorbency, or very little.
Can I just ask, have you had a chance to go out there with the town's conservation agent by any chance?
Yeah, they signed off on it.
With the COC?
Yeah, oh yeah, that, I
When
attached
was
that to this, I
Well, I didn't
attached
check
that to
the
the
date on
staff
that.
report.
That was a while back.
That was October
Yeah.
24th, 2016.
October, last year, just less
Just
than a year
last
ago.
year.
The other fact of the matter is that the town signed off on the completion of this when it was completed
Mhm.
and released, I have another handout tonight if we ever wanted to get that far with this thing. We released all funds having to do with the escrow of that site. So somewhere along the line, somebody signed off on and the board agreed with, and there was a full compliance
It
at
sounds
that
like
point in
it
time.
was working, and as time goes on, and that's the thing about the porous pavement. I mean, it needs,
Yeah.
there needs to be an O and M plan.
This,
Well,
Doesn't
can
sound
I,
like
can I
it
just
was.
say,
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanna say, as-
And then I wanna go to Tilly.
as I said in the staff report, it isn't a matter that the holes got all clogged up and it's not working because of lack of maintenance.
Okay.
The surface is impeccable, you know, it's just that it was put in wrong, or the composition of the asphalt was not porous to begin with, and it was just compressed, and to me, it doesn't look like it ever worked. Now, the applicant, the person I met at the site today, showed me that the applicant had an engineer out at the property, and they tested the porosity, and, you know, they have a tube, and they put water in, nothing absorbed. So, I really think it was just never put in right, and for whatever reason, it was signed off on by the parties to be, or the parties that were.
Okay, Tilly?
Well, just my concern, and it's a general one, when you have pictures, you ought to have them dated,
Yeah.
you know, and
Well,
there's
I
not a
did-
date on any of
No, in the staff report,
Oh,
it's
that
well
they are-
documented.
okay.
Every one of those were taken, July 25th, approximately 2 p.m.
Yeah.
The storm I referenced in the staff report took place on the 24th. That was a Sunday, and those were taken on a Monday.
Okay. So they're current.
And the same took place today. It was the same
All right.
dampness in the pavement.
It,
but-
well, I think it's a lesson for us that,
Yeah, I agree.
the porous pavement, it doesn't function correctly on a slope, for one thing.
Absolutely.
You know, and maybe this was just a trial and error.
You know, can I just say, University of New Hampshire, Dover, I mean, they're probably the foremost.
They're the center.
Yeah,
They're
they're,
it.
you know, it's a great idea, except for areas of the country that have snow and ice and have to be treated for safety purposes.
Sand.
You know,
Sand.
salt on the Mason-Dixie line, you know, 90% of the time it probably works great. Those places you don't have to put sand and salt on, and, you know, sand and salt clog these up.
By 2020, we won't need salt and sand anymore here anyway, so.
But you know, it's just a big experimental thing. Some towns have allowed for it in parking lots, they've allowed for it in roadways, and it's a maintenance horror show.
It's a maintenance, it's a real commitment to maintenance. Well, I guess,
It's being O and
I
M.
guess, I'm sorry, is there anything else, Tilly?
Well, this one picture on with the, G here, doesn't look like any water at all going underneath the, cul-de-sac there. I mean, the,
Yeah.
Oh, that-
culvert, excuse
That's for
me.
turtles. Yeah. That's what it's there for.
It's
the
not
turtle
for the water, running
Saw a
through.
garter snake making its way.
Well,
and
that's
tra-
good,
chasing
the
a
heat,
turtle,
the
but-
bug. So that's it for just, you're kidding, aren't you?
I am. No, but I did see the snake. I didn't see any turtles.
Well, isn't this a stream there? That's why you
It's supposed to
required
be
it?
for,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm assuming.
It doesn't look
There are
like
two,
any.
there are
No.
two
Well, it
disconnected wetland bodies. They're hydrologically connected.
Yeah.
No, this is
It's a
heavy
very, very
vegetation,
tight.
you know, it's probably the best wild, natural landscape site. You know, the building's there, the parking lot's there, and everything else around it is a real nice natural setting.
Did you have
Very
anything
well.
else?
No, I really,
Okay.
this is a puzzle to me.
So-
How are we gonna resolve this?
So, well, so I know.
Defer to the end of September?
I guess what I wanted to add was that, I know I had, some concerns expressed at the last meeting when we talked about this, and I've been thinking about this project a lot, and I'm beginning to come to a place where, and I just share this with the board now, in that, you have the information, and then we can decide what we wanna do with anything. That, you know, the porous pavement issue is an animal in and of itself as far as a site engineering practice is concerned. And this isn't like cleaning out a catch basin, you know, that's not working because it's plugged up, or a light pole standard that fell over and you put it back up. I mean, if it's not working, it is a huge, huge endeavor to correct. It's big money, and I feel like the applicant is caught in a really tough spot, with this project, at this point in time. And when I take everything together and, you know, I kind of shake it around, and what I come out with is that, it seems like it's, you know, a little too much, seems like a little too much for this issue, and I guess I'm starting to go in the place that what we need to do is make sure if porous pavement is going to be provided on any project, that there is some sort of in perpetuity or something that is put in place to ensure that that's going to continue to work, and that if this situation were to happen again,
Absolutely.
that whoever buys the property is clearly aware that, you know, this goes along with the purchase, and if it's not working, you're responsible for it. But on this one, all things considered, I'm starting to think that, you know, the $50,000, I'd like to call it a day and move on. But that's just me. That's where I am with it. I know Matt is in that box. I mean, he was there pretty clearly. I don't know how
It's just that when you, I think a letter has to go out and explain that. I mean, otherwise, I can picture the seller saying, well, the planning board approved it. You know, it can't be all bad, or, you know, and sell it in that perspective.
If I could just add to what Rob just said, is, this, you can only provide for such an exception in that the environment in this particular area is as sensitive as it is. 99%, 100% sure it's not adversely affecting the quality of water. You know, this is rainwater running off, infiltrating in and absorbing into the ground, and then leveling out with the groundwater. And wherever the groundwater pops up on the surface, it's clean. You know, that's what's supposed to take place when you're managing stormwater. So, you know, it isn't a situation, it's not flooding out in a butter, you know, it's not causing impurities to enter the groundwater that wouldn't otherwise enter. And, you know, more than half of the site is actually operating as designed.
Well, this one here with the drain right there, obviously, the drain is too high
Yeah.
for the area, and there's a puddle,
Yeah.
a huge puddle of
Those
water.
are just all a mess.
So-
Those need attention. Those are the other driveways.
Further down the street.
So, so
If I-
moving forward.
I think the takeaway is that they're gonna be coming back to us at some point, after September. They're looking for input in this letter. They're waiting until September 30th.
I
They
mean-
want to attempt something.
I mean, ultimately, if the board, you know, regardless of whether they're there or not, there's a draft motion that's probably the most rational.
Would the board
action to take.
consider the draft motion, which is basically to return the 50K? And sort of, I'm just summarizing it, but call it a day? Would the board consider that? I, as one member, I feel confident that was Matt's position, not to go this route right from the get-go. I'm not sure about Rob, but there are three of us here, and there's so many items on the agenda and future agendas that if we can clean this one up, it would be
It's saying that the board finds that the subject premises is in substantial compliance with the terms and conditions of approval.
That's the only problem that I have with it is if we can compose a letter that says that this should be resolved through the owner and the buyer, how to, take care of this issue. It's not up to the town, even though you held 50,000 for them. I mean, the surety, it really ought to be up to the buyer and seller.
But it was the seller's attorney that's holding the funds, right?
Right, yeah, in escrow.
In escrow.
What I'm suggesting is on this project, considering its history and considering everything that we've just talked about, is that, that this project is allowed to go forward and the 50,000 escrow is returned, to the owner or the applicant. And we sign off on this project. And that from here on, any porous pavement project that comes before the board, we make sure that we get into the documentation
Right.
what we need to address this issue.
And it also sounds like we really need to have eyes on the ground when it's being installed,
Yeah.
so that it doesn't get overly compacted.
And
That's
if the
probably
board
most
wants to
important thing.
consider, just ending the motion on line 3, Georgetown, Mass, and don't,
That's what I was gonna suggest.
sorry, I must have been reading your mind.
No, it's great when we're on the same page.
So the in taking this action all the way to property is stricken?
Yep. Taking this action all the way to property is stricken, that is correct.
Where are you? I don't even see this here.
Is on the second page of correspondence.
Next page.
Yeah,
so.
right there.
Right here?
Yeah.
And it's this, it's from intake, and it's from here
Okay.
to here, that's all taken out, and that's what the motion is.
Mr. Chairman, if you'll hear it, I guess it's most
Please.
appropriate if I make it.
Please.
I move to release the $50,000 escrow account in its entirety, which is held by attorney Nancy McCann for the sole purpose of settling the disposition of the bitumen asphalt surfaces at 11 Martell Way in Georgetown, Mass.
Second?
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and it's been seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, Attorney McMahon's been holding that in escrow.
Yeah.
It's-
What about the interest?
Yeah. It can go back to,
Go, but yeah.
It's theirs.
I didn't just do it.
It's
I didn't add that in, should I have?
No,
No, okay.
they're gonna get the whole thing.
no, it hasn't been making interest. She's held a check in
Okay.
her safety deposit box as the escrow agent.
Oh, okay.
Oh, is that how that? Oh, okay. All right. Well, so the motion then still would work.
Stands.
Most
Okay.
of the time.
So, and seeing no more discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3 yes, 2 absent. You'll be happy to hear that.
Very happy.
Okay, the, next item of correspondence is the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission. And then we're gonna go to the sureties Palmer Lane.
That's an easy one, Mr. Chairman. That's just continuing my map, right?
Yep.
I
It
will
is.
make that motion, sir. I move for the board to forward a written request. I'm reading verbatim from your
Yep.
draft, John.
Yes.
Forward a written request to the Board of Selectmen regarding to authorize the planning board to enter into the FY 2018 MyMap contract with Merrimack Valley Planning Commission to expend from the planning board's purchase and services account 5360, the sum of $3,000 in order to cover the cost of executing the subject contract.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and it's been seconded, to move for the board to forward a written request to the Board of Selectmen to authorize the planning board to enter into the FY 2018 MyMap contract with the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission and to expend from the planning board's purchase of services account 5360, the sum of $3,000 in order to cover the cost of executing the subject contract. Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
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 3 yes, 2 absent. Then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more items of correspondence. They're all from our budding towns. There's nothing either I need to talk about. You guys all set with that?
Yeah, do we- You have a bill payable for us to sign?
None, this meeting, no vouchers.
It's gotta go to the selectmen first.
Oh, okay.
Well, that one, yeah, no, that's a recommendation of the selectmen,
Gotcha.
yeah,
Okay, and then it comes back to us and then we sign?
yeah,
Gotcha.
we'll get that invoice.
Okay, so,
Back and forth.
moving next on the agenda, is Palmer Lane definitive subdivision, special permit, surety.
Sticky wicket.
John, you wanna
Sticky wicket.
give us an explanation?
Sticky
Yeah,
wicket, Mr.
this
Chairman.
was
Be a little bit more clear.
I'm recused from that.
Oh,
Right?
I wasn't even thinking. Yeah, we only have two.
yeah,
We're gonna have to move it forward.
yeah, and it doesn't bother anything at this point in time. We don't have
Okay.
enough people and. we'll-
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that when I.
Sorry.
I didn't think of it
No.
either.
Yeah.
So we'll have to
Okay.
continue it to the next
Would-
available meeting.
Can I just ask if the sitting members of the board are in agreement with John's calculations, so that I just know that at the next meeting,
I
although I love
can,
being here with you guys, I don't need to
I can
comment.
speak, I'm speaking only for myself, I am. I'm in agreement with it.
Yeah.
Tilly?
Definitely.
Yeah, so you've got two members, yeah.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I'll leave
Sorry
it with
about
you guys
that.
to next meeting.
Thank
Bye.
you. Okay, so that takes care of that.
Numbers.
Public hearings. The first one up is Bailey Lane, and we need, before we open that meeting, I don't see anyone here for the applicant.
No, and they were requested, or they were informed that it would be deferred this evening,
Okay.
and they agreed to do so.
I have so many questions.
So this is on Bailey Lane, so this is with regards to, this is just then for the public, so we just received, Larry Graham's, technical review of the project. First time we've seen it is tonight, and this is from our technical review agent. So we're not even gonna be responding to this tonight, cause we haven't had a chance to review it. We just got it tonight. It was submitted to the technical review agent, late, and so that's why we are where we are today. As far as extending the meeting,
The applicant has requested 13th September, that's our next planning board meeting.
do we have that on the agenda, that it works that way, that, we're not too full?
No, we're not too full right now.
Okay, if you're comfortable with it.
I'm just concerned that, there's a substantial amount of revisions that need to be made. The stormwater has to be redone.
Well, well, do we need to talk about this right now? Do we need to open this meeting to be talking about it like
You
this?
have to open it to continue it.
Yeah, so we need a motion to open it in any event.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to open the public hearing for the 5-lot open space residential subdivision continuation for Symes Development Permitting LLC special permit application.
Second.
Definitive.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and it has been seconded to open the continued public hearing for Bailey Lane 5-lot open space residential development definitive subdivision. All in favor?
Aye.
So we've opened the meeting and two are absent. What was I gonna ask you, John, when you were saying that? So the meeting would get continued to the 13th of September, and you say we have enough on there to do.
Yeah.
We can fit that on. What I,
I mean, it would be up to them, and the trouble is, and this is an item I wanted to talk to the planning board about, is
I
that-
wanna have time, I wanna have time, I'm only speaking for myself. I wanna have time to now review Larry's report. And then I will sit down and review the drawings, and then I will be prepared to have my comments. So I don't want them to revise any drawings at this point. It doesn't do us any good, cause then what happens is they submit a new set of revised drawings based on his report, and they have to wait for that to come back, and then we have to wait to get that. We've yet to have the comment opportunity.
There's a couple of things I'd like to comment on too,
So-
as far as the plans, certain things I see.
So I'd like to absorb his
Yeah.
report, and then absorb the drawings, and then, so if they wanna come for the 13th, I think that would be great.
Yeah.
And we can then have
Explain.
this meeting with them to talk about this and talk about Larry's report. But I don't want any more material from them at this point, because otherwise it just keeps moving us back 2 steps for every 1 step forward.
Well-
Is the board in agreement with that?
Yeah, there's a
Well,
couple
I
of head
don't-
shakers in here.
Yeah.
The only
I
way-
agree.
Yeah, you're gonna see a couple
The
head
only way you
shakers
can
there.
stop anybody from giving you information is that you have to close it. And then you don't get any more information. That's how we do it with the special permit. Now, the subdivisions, we've never had an issue like that.
I think he's talking about the leapfrog approach where before we get a chance to even comment on the plans that we have in our hand and we look at, we've made revisions, now we're looking at a whole new, not a new set of plans.
I understand all of that.
Exactly.
So, we're following, we're having
How
trouble
does-
there, keeping up if they make
But how does
revisions
that
without us.
conflict with a special permit?
I like the idea of really trying to organize ourselves so that, we all have time to review it,
And do
get
it.
our comments in
Do it
order.
at once.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right, and progress from there in an orderly manner and not being rushed, not coming to a conclusion that we're not comfortable with. When we arrive at a decision, the board, Larry, we should all be comfortable with what we're doing, and feel informed.
Right.
I mean, I think, when was the last time this board met with the applicant? How long ago was that?
Been here for a while.
It was a lot, so they've had all that time
Yeah.
to revise the drawings, to get them to Larry, to then have Larry do his report, to have gotten it to us, to then give us time to review it, absorb it, and then to come to a meeting. I mean, they've had months. And it just backed right up into so we're getting it tonight, so.
It's almost like a 60
It is.
lot subdivision.
Yeah, so, that's, I say
I'm
let's hold
more
on.
interested in the process.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. We need to establish a structured process in my mind, because as I recall, we approved that special permit already. And now we're working on the subdivision.
You did a preliminary, Tilly, I believe, you did a
Yeah.
special permit preliminary.
For the concept.
It was the
So we
concept.
absolutely
didn't
haven't
approve-
done,
We didn't
uh,
approve anything, really, it was just the concept.
So now that's even more required, that we pay attention to the time. If
Right, oh,
we
yeah.
haven't done the
Oh, no, this
special
is a whole
permit,
new,
we've
this is a,
got
this is a
to
whole new,
follow that,
this is a whole new special permit,
I know,
yeah.
I know.
Are you concerned about that we have enough time to?
65 days after we
I'm
open.
concerned that,
Right.
yes, in a sense, but I'm
So-
concerned that I don't want a constructive grant, and we have to
That's
avoid
what I'm
that.
saying. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's
What's
the
our
same
Form
here.
H say?
We do have
Is that-
extension through 30th September. And I did send them a Form H, and the next date on the Form H will be 30th of December.
Okay,
That's what I'm looking
so,
for,
so
in
we're
December.
okay with that?
31st.
So we're okay with that, and, I say we have the meeting on the 13th with them.
13th or the 27th, which was the night that we were gonna focus on? I don't know what everything looks like.
We could do the 13th.
13th?
This
Yeah,
is-
we have
this is
two,
your-
we have a
your
lot line relocation plan and an A&R plan. And this would be the
13th.
third item.
Okay.
Mr.
So-
Chairman, if there's no one to, that's here for,
Yeah, if there was anyone in the public that wanted to, at this point, talk, sorry,
Bailey?
with that said,
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to continue the Bailey Lane definitive OSRD to
13th September.
September 13th, 2017, at 7:15 or something. 7:15?
I'll second that.
okay, motion has been made, and it has been seconded to continue the Bailey Lane 5-lot open space public hearing to September 13th. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 3 yes, 2 absent. So hopefully, on September 13th, we'll have a pretty meaty discussion. So let you folks know that. Okay, so that's the first public hearing. Moving on to the second public hearing. We have Georgetown Plaza.
And
I don't know if you wanna We
Yeah.
gotta open the, do we?
Make a motion to open the Georgetown Plaza site plan review application.
Second, Mr. Chairman?
Motion has been made and it's been seconded to open the Georgetown Plaza site plan review, public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3 yes, 2 absent. John, update?
Yes, an update from the applicant's attorney, John Smolak. We got a request in writing, along with the Form H, extending the board's time to review this till 31st of December. Just in time
And we're
for the
okay with
holidays.
time?
Yes, yeah. Well, they keep on offering up.
31st of December.
They're still working with the Conservation
Yeah.
Commission.
Did Concom meet Thursday night? I wasn't on TV, but.
They've met on it. No, well, excuse me, they did not because they didn't have a quorum.
Ah.
So,
Okay.
it's
Tough in
this
August, baby.
Yeah.
Tough in August.
So,
Mr. Chairman,
okay, we're talking 31st of December, yeah. all
if
right,
you will hear it,
Please.
I make a motion, this is saying 13th of
No,
September.
I know,
Yeah, we're
because
gonna-
we just got the request in today for the 27th. So, I just changed it from 13 to
I think it'd
27.
be the 27th.
What's that? That would be the.
That would
fourth.
give him another shot at Concom next month, right?
That's the goal.
In theory.
And
Mr. Chairman.
Only in theory.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to continue the public hearing to the 27th of September, 2017, for the Judgetown Plaza located 6474 East Main Street, map 11A, lot 85.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and it has been seconded to continue the Georgetown Plaza, 6474 East Main Street, Lot 85 site plan application public hearing to the 27th of September 2017. Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3 yes, 2 absent.
John, I'm starting to write the date, then the month, the way you do it here.
I still haven't
No,
gotten used to it.
I just did
I s-
that. I just did it.
I'm trying.
If you guys want me to knock it
I'm
off,
trying.
No.
that's just the
No,
military
no,
way.
don't change your way, don't change your ways for me.
I've been respectful.
Bring me up.
You know what's really good about that? There's no commas involved.
I love it,
In-
yeah.
You know,
Bring me to your
they,
level.
They came up with it. and
My little brain can only handle so much.
See, they
Always
keep-
bring me to your level, don't come down to mine, bring me to yours.
And they keep
Okay.
everything simple.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it really is a simple way of not
Doing it.
messing up dates.
It's true, it's true. Okay, moving
that for
on,
1900
in,
hours?
public hearings to, 1A and 1B, Rear Spalding Road, looking for a motion to open.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to, open the, I believe this is a continuation, is it not?
It is a continuation.
Open the continuation of the 1A, 1B Rear Spalding Road Special Permit application to construct a common driveway for 2 proposed single-family residential dwellings.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and it has been seconded to open a continuation of the public hearing of 1A, 1B Rear Spalding Road, special permit application to construct a common driveway. No discussion, seeing no discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
3 yes, 2 0, 2 absent. I guess what we'll do is we'll get an update from John and then we'll give you a crack at it, sir.
I do hope everybody had a chance to read through the staff report. A lot of it was a
You gonna
regurgitation.
let the gentleman sit down?
Oh,
Oh, of course.
Sit.
I assumed
We
you
were
were
talking about
standing
military thing,
intentionally.
you didn't have to be at attention, I know we were talking about military thing.
So a lot of the staff report was a regurgitation of what took place in the motions that we were dealing with at the initial hearing on this. And then the last part of it was the legal opinion from town council.
Right, right.
Everybody here have a chance to read through that and follow
Yep.
it.
Yep.
It's not a simple matter of,
No, it isn't.
so, cutting through everything, and we can hear from the applicant's attorney this evening. It's kind of a short motion at the end of a long staff report, and I think probably the most appropriate motion that we could take, especially for this evening. we can have a long discussion about that or a short one.
Okay, we'll talk about those.
Now, and I do wanna qualify this evening, and I don't know the board's actual policy. The applicant's attorney wanted to have the legal opinion, and, the practice that I'm used to is that's confidential. It's meant for the parties that it's written for, in this case, it's the planning board, and unless otherwise advised to do so. So the applicant's attorney hasn't seen the legal opinion.
I'm only speaking for myself, I see no reason why not to share that with, but I mean, we can talk about that at another time, I suppose.
And to me, it's just rational that you would do that
I think
anyway.
We always have, but I wondered,
I just didn't know
Stating
what.
settled law, and
Yeah.
you're not getting it, you're not gonna meet
I
anyone.
don't think I
Well,
left anything for him to guess.
Can, that's, I mean, but that's the part, that's just not a good message, I mean, and so, you know, I would like to, see if the board make a motion to authorize sharing this letter, with the applicant. Anybody, if there's no motion, that's fine too. I mean, there was no discussion, John, between you and John Eichman, was there about, you know, this is confidential, don't submit it or anything like that, or was there?
No, there wasn't. There
Good,
wasn't.
okay.
Mm. And you got that response after you did the packet, I understand, right?
No, no, his legal opinion's included in the staff report.
Because I didn't get it in the packet.
Well, it's kinda hidden, it's at
It's
the
in-
end.
It's on page 4, Tilly.
No, I had to
Yeah.
print it. No, I had to,
It was
I
in,
searched it thoroughly.
Oh, boy.
it was in mine.
Didn't make it through the copy?
I just saw it, today, when I was going over it all.
Yeah, it's unfortunately.
You know, what you see there is what I did. Yeah,
It was in mine.
Oop, there it is, right there.
yeah, that's
That's,
what I did, isn't it? No?
it was in the form of an email, it wasn't an
Yeah,
official
it was at the
letterhead.
end of this
Okay.
Yeah.
package, so,
Mm.
anyways, are you struggling with it, Harry? Cause if you are, I just wanna move on, we have other things to talk about.
Well, I don't think we have,
I can
This is-
synopsize it.
this is
pretty
here at a
quickly
public
if you guys
meeting
want
right
to.
now anyway, I don't believe we can hold it. To be honest with you, right here, we're discussing.
I would like to hear what the
So,
attorney has to say. He's here.
So can the board just can the board just give direction to John to just,
I have no problem with releasing town council's opinion to the applicant,
Yeah,
no
you all set
problem at
with
all,
that?
just so you.
No,
so,
I
so
don't
you're
either.
hearing the 3 board members here
Yeah.
tonight are okay with that, so please do so.
Okay.
I don't know if we have a copy we can give him now, but if not,
Yeah.
So with that, if you want to, highlight,
Okay, yeah. In the attorney's legal opinion, basically, we cannot hold up our decision based on the Conservation Commission not issuing their wetland crossing permit. So we can act independently, it advises that we act independently if necessary. Now, if the applicant, upon our request, will go to the Conservation Commission and work out the crossing issue and say they are successful, they would come back to us and they would have to have engineered drawings that our consultant engineer would review and recommend to this board if they wanted to go that route. They could also come to us or continue this process with engineered drawings that we would have Larry Graham review, recommend to the board, and we could come up with a conclusion. And he also recommends that within our decision, we could condition the decision that the applicant will need to receive Conservation Commission wetland special exception permits, or permit regarding the crossing. But that goes without saying. You know, our approval is just our approval, our denial is just our denial, whatever the case may be. And that's up to them to decide, and they can't acquire a building permit until they have
Correct.
all required local permits in place.
correct.
Glad we have that settled now.
I have just
Yeah.
one question. Did you give Jonathan Eichman the memo we got from the conservation agent? Because he clearly said they have never approved a wetland crossing, and it's
Well,
prohibited.
no, that could be that they said that, and they still would have to go to the Conservation Commission.
Absolutely, they would still have to go through
So-
that, but
And John's saying that regardless of that letter, they have to, they are required to go to the Conservation Commission, and if that is the case, the Conservation Commission will handle it.
I just wondered if Jonathan would have a different spin on it, if he saw what we saw.
I don't believe you would, Tilly.
I think it
No.
wouldn't change, it wouldn't change.
No,
what
and,
he said.
and it isn't, you know, 100%
Mm.
that wetland crossings, they've denied all of them, but not all of them.
Prohibited, he
Yeah,
said.
but no,
Okay,
not
so-
all of them have been, won in court. You know, you're batting 500.
So what I'd like to do, do you have any more that you wanted to talk about with John's stuff, cause otherwise I'd like to give.
No, that's basically it, and I'm sure
If you have-
Alan.
If you have anything you wanted to add at this
pretty
point.
I
know
was
what-
only here to ask for continuance.
I understand, I wanted to give you the opportunity.
I
though.
submitted the, excuse me, submitted the Form H
Yep.
to John. The action date was gonna be December 31 that we've requested. I've made no specific request for a hearing yet in the form, but I think that with the amount of engineering that we're working on, probably October meeting would be good.
That sounds right.
And
That's all right with the board.
First October meeting or the second?
We have two meetings?
Well, so before we go, I did have just a couple of questions that I wanted to.
Yes.
Provide. Did you, there was an issue that came out at the last meeting with, neighbors, abutters, children, buffers, screen, fencing. That's something that, the planning board will want to see how it is addressed as part of the submittal. So that was one item that's missing that needs to be addressed.
That's gonna be addressed.
Yep. And then, the other was the engineering part of the plans of the crossing,
That's what he's working on.
I assume, so. So those were I think those were the two items that were the big ones. What is that crossings, what is safety, endorsement block? Minor items, which was an endorsement block on the plan for the planning board. And I think, that was the only other one that John Eichman had actually mentioned. So that was it for me. Do you, so back to the date of the continuance.
Yeah, so we Mr. Grenier, we meet on the second and fourth Wednesdays.
Second one, the second meeting.
Okay,
the 25th?
25 October.
Thank you.
And as far as schedules are concerned, it basically seems to boil down to about a month in advance of the submittal by the time it gets to us. And what I mean by that is the drawings are done and they go to the technical review agent, and the technical review agent has a couple of weeks to turn around his response. And then it shows up to the town planner, and the town planner has a week to put his package and his work together, and then we get it a week in advance of the meeting. And it's amazing how time goes by like that, but that's just a heads up of how much time in advance is needed to make it an efficient meeting. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Do we have an account established for this, or do we do?
Not yet. He's Mr. Grenier, you're gonna establish,
Is there any
Peer review.
paperwork that goes with that?
yes, and we can work
Just
on that.
us, whether we want to be 2,000 or 4.
I mean, it's just a common drive.
Seems pretty,
With a lot of problems.
well, I don't,
I
maybe make it 3, split the difference.
yeah, I make
Make
it.
it different, yeah, you're gonna have some technical stuff with Larry, right?
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to establish, what is it, 59G or an M account, establish an M account, I'll call it that. Or whatever, account for the 1B, 1A, 1B, what is it, 1A, 1B?
1A and
1A
1B.
and 1B rear Spalding Road special permit application. in the amount of $3,000 to be deposited prior to the next continuation.
What's the form of the bond? Do you want cash, bank account?
I think you just cut a check.
Oh,
Just
okay.
a check, yeah, and then it's,
Not a bond, it's just money sitting there that gets used to
it,
pay for the reviews,
Yep.
the expert.
do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and it's been seconded to establish an M account for 1A, 1B rear Spalding Road, in the amount of $3,000 to be deposited, with town planner and town account. Yeah, I
Can't
think
think of
so.
anything else. Anything
Nope,
else?
seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3 yes, 2 absent on the M account for 3K.
Do the extension,
We have to
right?
finish the extension of the meeting
Yeah.
date. Yeah, so we'll
Motion
do
to
a
approve the
motion on
Form
that.
H, gate delivery, excuse me, expiration date
October,
is December 31st,
Yes.
2017.
Second.
Motion has been made and it's been seconded to approve, Form H, with the extension date of December 31st, 2017. Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3 yes, 2 absent. I think that's it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I move to continue, I move to make,
I'll send the whole thing to you tomorrow.
I make a motion to continue until
Thank you.
There you go.
September 25th of September. Motion to continue the hearing till 25th of September 2017.
31st.
Pardon me? I'm sorry?
31st of December.
No, I'm
He's in September.
just
Okay,
continuing this hearing
all right.
to October 25th.
Correct, that's what he has asked
All
for.
right.
Just waiting for everybody to take their notes. 2017.
Yeah.
That's my motion, Mr. Chairman, if you'll hear it.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and it's been seconded to continue, the public hearing for 1A, 1B rear Spalding Road, special permit application to October 25th, 2017. Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3 yes, 2 absent. Okay. Moving on to new business, which is the last item, is a public hearing, to consider the special permit application for 198 East Main Street. And what we'll do is, we'll open this,
I believe it's a continuation.
it's a continued meeting.
Continuation.
So,
Hey,
make
how's it
a
going?
motion to open the hearing.
How's this summer going?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to open the continuation of 198 East Main Street, OSRD special permit, definitive subdivision.
Second.
Motion has been made and it's been seconded to open the continued public hearing for 198 East Main Street. Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor? Aye.
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 You guys had me scared, the room was
Yes.
full of people.
Yes. They were all here for you. So what we'll do is, just gonna go to John for an update, then. go
Plus,
over
we,
to you
we also
folks.
need to take that motion to accept this particular application.
Oh, yeah, so we opened, the hearing has been officially opened, and then we need a motion to accept the
I'd make a motion to accept the application submitted by the applicant this evening.
Yeah, it's here. It's
I
on
hear-
page 2.
Sorry,
Yeah.
so sorry, John. You set us all up.
Yep.
I move to accept the 198 East Main Street, map 10, lot 11, OSRD definitive subdivision site plan special permit application.
Second.
Okay, motion has
Love it
been
when you
made,
give me a
and
stress.
it has been seconded to accept the, application for 198 East Main Street subdivision, OSRD, open space residential development. Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor? Aye. Okay, John first, then you.
Yeah, as you mentioned earlier, this is a special permit application for 198 East Main Street, calling for the creation of a second lot for the purpose of constructing a one-story residential dwelling in accordance with the provisions of Chapter 16547, the open space residential development, also known as OSRD, of the zoning ordinance. The site is located in a residential B zoning district and shown on Town Assessors Map 10 as Lot 11 and consists of approximately 5.44 acres.
All set?
I am.
Okay.
Unless anybody has any questions. Further descriptions?
I have one
you.
procedural question. I think because there's a special permit that's associated with the approval, we're gonna need 4 members of the board to
That is
vote.
correct.
So we would respectfully ask that we, as you have, reopen the public hearing or open the public hearing so we can make at least a presentation of some of the feedback we've been given from local officials, neighbors, abutters, et cetera, and then have a vote to continue to the next meeting till there's a 4th member that hopefully can watch the proceedings and be able to vote at the next meeting.
Or,
I have no
or
problem
would
with
you
that.
prefer to continue this without taking any information at all tonight?
I think it makes sense for us to do a presentation. I don't think any of the information we're giving you is heavy, it's preliminary, and I think it would be helpful if it would be accepted into the record and then evaluated not only by the members, but perhaps town council, given some of the documentation relates to deed easements and conveyances to the town. Just might expedite things.
Okay, so
Well, thanks, Eric.
I'm fine with that. Your call, sounds good. So do you want to present?
Sure,
What's the latest?
I think we're all here, but I'll take the lead. It's Nick Cracknell for the record, 13 Picard Street, Amesbury, Mass. I am a land use planner, and I've been working with Larry and Kay and Charlie for the past 6 to 7 months on preparing this OSRD special permit application, I guess / definitive subdivision with an amendment to a previously approved 1993 subdivision. We did a pre-application conference, I think, on the 26th of April with you folks, and there were a number of comments raised at that pre-application conference in preparation for a public hearing and a submission, a formal application. And that's essentially what we'd like to present some responses to those comments. But as an overall goal, what we're really trying to do with this subdivision is, in contrast to a conventional development of doing either a two-lot court or a common access driveway with reduced frontage with very large lots, is do the OSRD and have 60% of the parcel transferred to the town as conservation land to abut the existing town park and conservation land or open space land to the north. We'd obviously like to retain the rural setting and the rural character of this part of Georgetown and not necessarily have a wide driveway or roadway service this additional lot. We're talking one building lot for a single-family house would be the resultant of this OSRD special permit. The total size of the lot is 5.5 acres, and again, the proposal is to develop on about 40% of the lot and have 60% of it permanently protected as open space. And yes, a good chunk of that is floodplain and wetland, but there are uplands associated with that conservation area that would be conveyed to the town should the town so choose through the Conservation Commission to take the care and custody of that land. We're also providing, if the town wills it, an emergency access easement from 198 East Main Street into the town park and open space land, should they need it for a second means of access. Again, emergency vehicles only, not a second driveway into the facility. So those were our overarching goals. There's a single-family house that the Ogdens live in now that has about a 1,200 square foot footprint at the back of that site. So the existing conditions are everything there that's shaded with, yeah, maybe you could throw up the conditions. Yeah, right there. Shows the existing house, the pool, and the common access driveway that currently comes in through that 1993 subdivision that services not only the Ogdens, but the Randos next door. we have provided for the record in, I think, what was submitted, a right to modify agreement for the common access driveway that's been co-signed or executed by both the Randos and the Ogdens, as well as a revised common access driveway maintenance agreement for any improvements that are associated with this project. As we understand, we're gonna need to make some, hopefully modest improvements to the existing common access driveway associated with having a third unit on that driveway from the two. So both those documents have been submitted. We've also submitted a draft easement, a deed easement to the town, a deed to the 3.1 acre conservation area, not an easement, a deed to the fee. And the other easement is the emergency access easement to the town, should they want it, across lot B2 into B1. Does it actually go to both? Yeah, it goes, it crosses B2 and goes in. This is what we call B2, the proposed single-family house where the Ogdens would like to move. Larry and Kay would like to move into that house, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that the one called Lot D?
Yeah, that's called B2, I think, in the documentation, but it's the new lot.
Oh,
And this is one, so call it 1 and 2. And the the emergency access easement would come from the town land, which is here. This would be the conservation area deeded to the town to be added to this larger parcel. And this is where the emergency access, should the town want it, be provided to get from the existing, I think where the Boy Scouts are, through both Lot 2 and Lot 1, out to the common access driveway and out to East Main Street. The lot right now with the 93 subdivision has 360 feet of frontage. There's about a 1 acre right-of-way that's shared between the two properties, and the Ogdens purchased in 2000 about 14,000 square feet, which is primarily where it's half the lot of where the house is gonna be located on Lot 2.
That's the Lot D.
that's
Yeah,
what.
Lot D.
Thank you.
Sorry, Harry. You're right. We're in the RB zoning district, which is 40,000 square feet for a typical standard minimum lot size, 160 feet of frontage, 30 feet on the front, 20 on the sides, and 30 on the back for the setbacks. As I mentioned, this portion of the site here in the northeast is wetland and floodplain. Both of them are delineated on our plans. I think they were back in April, but they've been updated. We've also submitted the documentation from FEMA regarding the map amendment and where that line is in relation to this project and the elevation. So I think it's accurate, it's consistent with what's shown on the revised plans. Right now, you have a 16 to 24 foot wide shared driveway at the bottom, and then after the randos go off to the right, the driveway gets very narrow for both of them because it's really only servicing one lot on each side, the Ogdens and the Randos. So the Ogdens driveway right now is 12 to 14 feet wide. It's gravel. It's again pretty rural. I think what we'd like to advocate is a waiver to allow it to remain gravel, but be widened, because there will be two people using it. But less is more, only because there's significant tree lines on either side, and it seems like not overly widening that would be an advantage to the character of that existing driveway. Did you have your hand up, Harry?
I'm very sorry. You're talking about after it splits off,
Yes.
Nick? Okay.
Yes.
So
Yep.
it's only two, okay.
Yeah. Turns into more like a cart path driveway with some grass coming up. It's quite rustic, and it works, and the grades are good. And we know it would need to be widened, but we're hoping we can get a number that respects the character of the sides of the existing driveway and the vegetation.
Mr. Chairman, could I just interrupt for 1 second, just so we're all straight on this? All of this will remain private. This will not be a public road, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I just wanted to get that.
No,
be
thank you.
completely clear about
Well,
that,
we
right up at front.
Okay, so we can, yes, go ahead.
Very
No,
sorry.
that's a really good point. Okay, so in terms of the neighborhood context, we looked at the lots in the surrounding 1,500 feet in any direction and the average lot sizes. They range from 30 to 80,000 square feet. So you've got a fairly low density development, which this, we would argue, is at two two building lots on nearly 6 acres of land, 5.5 acres. It's consistent, both these lots are about an acre in size, even though they're in the OSRD. One's 34 and I think one's 40, round numbers, with the remainder being the common access driveway and the common open space that would be deeded to the town. And we went through, in the pre-application conference, the four-step design process of identifying under the OSRD the primary and secondary resources on the property. We've identified the wetlands, the floodplains, the tree line. I think Rob had asked for back in the pre-application conference because it wasn't maybe clear on what we had originally submitted for that discussion. The tree line's been identified. So placement of that house was relatively easy because the trees had been cleared previously in that area. So the house has a very limited impact, the proposed house has a very limited impact on the quality and character of the secondary resources that are in the vicinity of that lot. We talked about the roadway and utilities, and obviously the lot lines were the least important, and we've strapped those on after siting the house and dealing with the expanded roadway and access that's needed for this new lot. We did submit in our application and discussed in our pre-application conference the yield plan and this notion of a two-lot court subdivision with it is a special permit, or the common access driveway special permit with reduced frontage lots, and that clearly there'd still be the same driveway issues in it needing to be widened, and there would presumably still be waivers requested under that definitive subdivision in the absence of an OSRD to deal with the surface of the structure and any other waivers that we might be seeking under the subdivision rules and regulations. So our OSRD plan, which is here, not to repeat myself, but we have a shared driveway still, and we have the driveway widened. What is the width of the driveway after the fork?
So here, it's proposed to be 12, it's currently less than 12. so-
Yeah, okay. So it's proposed to be widened to 12 feet through here, and the existing driveway now goes off into this area for the Ogden residents to be a loop driveway here. Looks like it's also about 12 feet wide, with a garage for presumably 2 cars inside the structure and enough room, not quite enough room for a couple of cars outside the way that's, right? What's the scale on that, 40?
Yeah.
So it almost, yeah, you can almost get 2 cars outside the garage and 2 cars in, so it's got plenty of parking for a single-family use on that second lot. We went over the lot size and the open space. So, you know, in the end, I guess to recap some of the comments from the April meeting, we got feedback, probably less formal than we would like at this point from the conservation agent. I think either through John or through conversations Larry had, and I'll let John maybe speak to it, but my understanding is that the Conservation Commission, as requested by some of you folks at the April meeting, is interested, if you guys are interested in approving it, they'll take the land. That was the gist of what I understood.
That's
Right?
correct,
Okay.
yes, yep.
So that, we haven't got that in writing, but that's what's been conveyed orally. I think we've got a letter from the fire,
Fire and the police chief.
fire and police chief,
And
that
no
are,
others.
that are in the record, and they're supportive of at least what is being proposed from a public safety standpoint. The board also asked us to talk to the easement holders, particularly the randos, to make sure we can modify that subdivision from 93 and make sure that they're in agreement. We can make improvements on the ground, and we have a solid maintenance agreement, so that's been addressed. There was interest from some members about what do other neighbors think about the project, because this new house is going to abut some people that are not easement holders. And I believe the Locks and the Sextons have both presented letters of support.
Right, the direct abutters and the ones that
Yeah.
are next to the
Yeah.
randos.
Point to where they are, the locks.
Yes.
Yeah,
Larry,
Lock
we have
would be
signed
here,
copies.
site
Yes.
plan
Yeah.
is right next to the driveway.
So locks are where, I'm sorry?
2 doors down.
2 doors down.
Okay.
So they will abut the back of the new lot here.
Yeah.
And then, are these the sextons? Yes, sexton right there. So these two people, I've seen the letters in the file, have submitted letters of support. And the randos, they're
Two more next to the randos,
down this way.
right.
And
Two
two more on the
people.
other door.
So pretty much everybody that's within a few hundred feet of the project has submitted written documentation.
I didn't see those. Were those in
They're
there?
in the packet.
They're in?
These here.
They're there.
It's,
Wow.
Harry, they were in the
that's that
packet
thing.
Strike
twice.
two, Harry.
Slipping.
Hey, Larry, they're in the packet,
They
right?
got 'em all.
Larry's been very helpful through the whole process.
Uh,
He's going over and above.
It would appear.
Is that?
Katie's keeping on top of it.
It does make it in the packet.
There is a
plan?
there is a landscape plan.
Reduced one.
Yeah, a reduced one. So we've,
Right.
we've got the full size here, and if you need something larger, well, we can leave this tonight.
No, I have other copies
Okay.
if Rob would like them or anyone else.
So this is the proposed landscape plan that I guess was in the packet in a reduced form, maybe making it hard to read, but, you wanna say anything about that?
Thanks, sir.
As the author?
He's just a
Any
draftsman.
objections?
Kate, do you wanna say something?
Sure. Hi, everybody.
Hey, Kate.
Thanks,
Great.
What I did was, I met with a horticulturist at Noonan's, and we went over all the plants, and what we're gonna do on the other side of the garage is we're gonna build 3 sections so for the elevation, and I'm gonna put all perennial plants all the way up, and in the back, there will be, red, what's the name of the tree, Larry, help me?
That's why I asked you to
Yeah, I
present.
know, but I don't have.
Where
my-
is it?
Yeah, it's on there, what,
Yeah.
red maples.
Red maples, yeah.
Thank you. Red maples, which we haven't on yet. If you came and saw our property right now, this was one of the things that I love to do, is plant my flowers and my trees. And whoever gets this property, they're all flowery trees, it's really beautiful. So the property, and I've kept it up, and we've done a lot of work on our property. But, going forward, this is what I'd like to see. There's a lot of boxwoods, there's low maintenance. I'm very happy about it, so I don't have to kill myself driving the tractor, mowing the lawn. I can't, I've had too many surgeries now, that's why I'm excited about getting on one floor. So, and I have all the name of the flowers and the colors of them and anything else you wanna see about it, so, okay.
Rob's probably the only one in the room that understands that.
Got that right.
I just here to provide screening for the neighbors, that's all. I mean,
Yeah, we have the screening,
Let's see. it.
thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're doing so well.
Yeah, well, I am,
You look great.
thank you, appreciate that.
Thanks, you didn't mention us.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Doesn't apply
Charlie
though,
looks good.
There's a
he
reason.
looks great.
Yeah, it looks good, thanks, Harry.
Right? All right, on that note, the last remaining item that I had on my list from the April 26th pre-application conference was a question from one of the members regarding the drainage, calcs or stormwater management, and what's included in the project proposal for stormwater management is an infiltration trench along the common access driveway, the north side of the driveway, both sections, the common access here. Obviously, the whole thing will become a common access, but there's the infiltration trench along the side of the driveway. We've also got a grass paver turnaround for emergency vehicles that also doubles as an infiltration trench as well for stormwater on that improved or widened common access driveway. So I think that sort of concludes our responses to the comments that at least I took note of back
Do
in
you
April.
wanna mention the waiver request?
Sure.
Oh, that's Charlie.
Yep. I think the waivers we're looking for are the width of the driveway, the common access driveway, and we're looking, as you heard tonight, for 12 feet to be allowed above the fork with the randos. And can you put that back up? Oh, they're on there, the
Yeah,
waivers.
they're on the front.
Okay, and, but maybe they could see the plan there. So the common access driveway width and the surface?
Am I
Right.
missing the common access driveway waiver on the front page? There it is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay, I was missing it, so.
Yep. So that's number one. Number two is the width. Sorry, one is the width, two is the surface, letting it remain gravel, a suitable, stable surface. It's not gonna be soft or anything. And the third one is, I think, the side yard setback for the proposed structure, correct? To separate it from the driveway? Or is it? I thought there was a side yard setback.
Yeah, minimum side yard
Setback, to be reduced to 15 feet as, yeah.
Mm.
Is there anything else on there?
I'm getting
I only remember three.
Well, you I don't know if we did or in your presentation, you
frontage?
asked about frontage, cause originally
right.
we showed
Area,
hundred and sixty.
frontage, and side yard.
Area,
I don't
well, but
see.
area is not a waiver, because the minimum's 10,000.
Yeah, for an OSRD.
Yes, yeah. So I think it's just a side yard.
Just side yard minimum's 10.
So I don't see on the cover the 12-foot wide road gravel.
Yeah, on this cover sheet?
Yeah.
You have that on there? That's a waiver to the subdivision regs versus the zoning, right?
Yeah, I don't see that either.
Well, you also need a
Sorry,
waiver
you
for
just-
the,
you just add it.
I forget how it's, the way it's worded there, the percentage
Of wetlands in
of
it, yeah,
uplands to
yes,
over- I can
wetlands.
never say it.
We need a waiver, yes, for the percentage of wetlands that are in the common open space. They're supposed to be, it's written the way it is because it makes sense. You want it to be proportional, you don't want developments to only put wetlands in the open space and that's all you get. But at the same time, you don't wanna have, any of the wetlands pulled out of the common open space in order to meet that requirement, which is what would result. So the waivers requested, good point, Harry, that's at least number 4, is the percentage of.
What is the percentage supposed to be?
Directly proportional to the percentage on the lot, which makes 0 sense. But, you know,
Oh,
every
the
town
percentage of
has
the
that
lot.
provision, and
Agreed.
Georgetown, thankfully, you know, I've learned through experience when we were drafting it, that it doesn't work to have the same proportion in the open space, because you wanna protect it. So then
If
developers
there's-
just take it out and keep it private.
Well, there's no wetland left on the rest of the land.
Understood, so that we violate that because of
Yeah,
that provision.
okay.
So it's a very minor waiver, but that's why it's
So
written. that way.
there's, so long story short, without going over those.
Thank you.
Just update those on the cover sheet.
We will.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, when we had the preliminary meeting, I think it was Rob that suggested we change, we had the line coming over here, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was coming over here somewhere, and you suggested that maybe we get rid of this circle. The cul-de-sac that used to be there, shorten up the road, so we could bring the line down to this point,
And that's what we did.
which gives a lot more uplands around the wetlands. And the circle doesn't do anything, it's in the woods. So, and that drove the request for the waiver to the frontage of 100 feet.
Right.
Because originally we had 160 because of the cul-de-sac.
Just remind us of that.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'm
and I think that was a great idea, because this, we were forced sort of to have the line, I forget exactly where it was, but this had to be, wasn't in the land, so it was over there somewhere.
So I'll maybe work offline with John on this, but I think the frontage on this lot is 85 plus 50, so it actually doesn't need a waiver. You're gonna be able to use the end of the right-of-way
So
for
just
frontage.
work that out.
So I
with
think
John.
we're okay without asking for the frontage waiver, but everything else Larry said makes complete sense, and that's what we were asked to do, and I think
Yep.
it strengthened the proposal to create that upland band on the southwest side.
I think it's all 135 now.
Yeah, which is more than the minimum, I think, in the OSRD. I think it's 100. So just to wrap up on my end, and I'll have to maybe repeat this when we come back, but we think that this plan has greater flexibility going to the findings of the OSRD. I think it meets the design standards, obviously with those 4 waivers being requested. It's more flexible, it's more creative, it protects permanently more open space than if we did a conventional. It's less sprawling and land consumptive to a degree. Obviously, the other conventional plans, whether it's a CAD or a 2-lot court, wouldn't be that different. So the limit of work is pretty consistent. It's really about the permanent protection of the open space. And, you know, I think in terms of the efficiency of the infrastructure and service delivery cost to the town, it's pretty similar. I think it furthers open space and recreational goals of the town to have that park be larger, create a better buffer, and provide potentially emergency access should it be needed to get into that property from a second means of egress. It complies with the bylaw, and we think it's in harmony with the sort of architectural and rural heritage of this particular neighborhood in Georgetown. So I think that summarizes where we're at.
Yeah, if I could just add a couple of things that, part of what my thought process was. Originally, there's actually like a old dirt road that comes through here, way back out. Originally, we owned back to here, and then this land was conveyed back to Jim Bussing, who subsequently conveyed it to the Conservation Commission. So we started with, I think it was about 11 acres. So this went to the Conservation Commission, so that sort of makes sense to attach this to it. And this path used to come out here, and there's a stone wall along the back here, which isn't on this drawing. And there's paths that go out, used to go out to a second quarry that was really quite pristine, it looked like a lake. That now goes out and sort of hits the driveway coming in to the park and rec land, right about where they're building the skate park. So, from a recreation point of view, people that are out in the recreation area can come down these paths down here and loop back onto Park and Rec land and go around this quarry, and the other quarry has some nice paths around it too. This quarry gets a little dry in the summer. But the second one out there is, you swear it was a lake, you wouldn't know it was land-made.
I have a
mean,
question
man-made.
for you, Larry, since you're up there. Where is the busing easement that they gave you that I noticed on the deed? A 20-foot.
Oh no, that's a discharge of that easement. When I bought the land, when Kay and I bought the land from Jim Bussing,
Yeah.
you know, we bought it from Jim Bussing, because Lisa Rando's his daughter.
Yeah.
But he owned this and sold them that. He retained a 20-foot easement along this property line,
Yeah.
which never made sense. So what's in my documentation is a release of that easement. That's been released.
So it's no longer there.
Right. The deed calls for the easement,
Right.
but there's a subsequent document signed by Mr. Bussing releasing that easement.
Did we get that, John? That release?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's in there.
I saw one, but I didn't see
Yeah.
two.
Yeah. If it isn't, I'll make sure John has it. But I don't know why we ever did it. I was working for him at the time, obviously. So couldn't argue too much. He could use it anyway, because he's got to take a right turn.
Yeah, right, right.
But
I just wondered if it had to be cleaned up, that's all.
that is cleaned up.
All right.
Thank you.
Larry, you should tell them what the house looks like in a house, too.
Yeah,
Show 'em.
Yeah, okay.
It's on the bottom behind.
I saw a,
The
like
lot.
a handsome
Yeah, I think you've seen
rendering
that
that someone did,
before.
there's some section of that guy.
That's sort of what the idea of the house will look like. It's one story. This is the entrance into a mudroom. That's the kitchen, bedroom, office, and another entrance over here.
But
And
it's
our
in-
current house is the same color and it's vertical siding. So I'm trying to match the two houses. Our current house jigs and jogs all over the place.
That rendering is, it really gives you a sense of, you know, what you're trying to do
Yeah.
with the land
I
and
have
nature
a
and sitting in it.
architect
It's
friend,
nice.
Amy Bentley, that drew that up for me. This is a picture of our existing house, probably seen.
Yeah.
So we're trying to match it so
Yeah.
places look like they belong together,
Yeah.
other than the colonials that are out front.
Okay. Anything else from you guys at this point? All right, so I guess what I'd like to do is go to each board member who's here. If you have any specific questions, now's the time. Any items you want to put on the table, and then we can continue the hearing. You're all set?
I have a couple questions.
I have a couple of them.
Just one, I think. The easement was one. And then, is it a state code that you need that emergency exit because of the size of the driveway?
No, that's being provided strictly
wondering
to
what-
support the town in having emergency access.
So it's not a requirement?
Nope.
That you need two ways to,
No.
okay.
No, we
It's a
abide.
pretty intensive use at the town side with one means of egress, so the thought was it would provide relief in a case of an emergency.
Right, this line, Charlie, you can tell me, is the line between the town and the church.
Yeah.
Oh, it's right there. Baptist church is like over here, the Boy Scouts field is here, and then this goes out into Park and Rec. So this is just so if something happened out at East Main Street, that there was an accident, I mean, the probability of this is slim. But if there was an accident out at East Main Street, so if fire trucks or an ambulance couldn't get in there, and something else happened to a kid out here, or somebody, they can come down here, and cut through here and get onto the parking plant. And what I do is I meet with the fire chief and the police chief and see what they want me to do here. I can, when we got equipment there, if they want some trees cut, or whatever.
May I
But
say
when you
something?
get beyond, excuse me one second, when you get beyond that, there would be some work on the town's land to get to where there's no more trees.
Are you gonna, well, I'll wait till it comes back to me.
What I wanted to say to Tilly is if we had to get out, we have like an open space between the randos and us, a driveway, it's almost like a driveway, but we could go right through our driveway onto their driveway and exit. I mean, if you all wanna come over and take a look,
We
you,
probably will arrange for
yeah,
a site
come
walk.
on over,
Yeah.
well, my flowers are in bloom.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've had fire trucks down there a couple of times.
Oh, yeah, Larry, we have.
I set my deck on fire.
Yeah.
Barbecue.
And you
Yeah.
admitted?
I more than admitted I got a lot of flack over that.
From the fire people forever.
I called them up and said, it's out. They said, we're coming anyway,
Oh,
pal.
they have to, yeah, yeah.
Took my spaghetti water and threw it on the fire.
Anyway,
Good,
Anything else?
The other thing is the drainage.
Yep.
Because you got a lot of water there, and I don't, do you have any retentions or drains at all that you think shouldn't be at the lower end?
You mean at East Main Street?
Yeah, from between the properties, there's just,
The whole issue of drainage, I'm thinking that, are we gonna have Larry take a look at this?
but there's nothing on there, right? Did I
There's-
miss something?
Well, there's an infiltration trench along the edge.
That's,
So,
okay.
I mean, there's not a lot of increase in drainage because there's already paved driveway and a gravel road coming up here.
Yeah,
So we're not increasing that much anyway.
but
But
if
what
it,
does increase, sorry, does get captured by the infiltration trench on that side of the road.
Which isn't there now.
Right.
oh,
There isn't one there now. There will be one.
there will be one,
So there
okay.
will be some.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, Larry will
And-
look at
and-
that.
And may, you know, what I
'Cause
what I
that's-
wanna try to, I wanna try to measure, I don't want Larry to, I'm just speaking for myself, I don't want Larry to go into a full bore kind of review, and maybe we can just be very specific with him about, would you just check out the infiltration, stormwater management approach, you okay with that? Correct.
Yeah.
Just a couple of items.
Yeah, because it is a floodplain area, and then further, you know, that you're donating for open space, that water has to go someplace, and it's gonna go at the lower end.
well, the high point is, show them where the high point is in the driveway. So most of that is all coming back onto our land.
Into the floodplain, not
And
the
what's
street.
going on to East Main Street, we're not widening the driveway really.
I
It's
know
still
you-
15 feet, so.
Staying the same,
It's
right?
a
Right.
good, that's a good,
No
that's a
change.
good point.
Yeah,
If-
no
if-
change
That's a good point. If you can make that clear perhaps to the board, you know, maybe it doesn't have to go to Larry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because it's,
show the side.
where was the high point, Charlie? I
Um,
just kind of remember.
I did bump into Pete Durkee.
Yeah.
And this was just 2 days ago, and we talked about a lot of projects, but this one in particular. And we'd just like to address with you guys,
Right.
you know,
What
any improvements that you could propose.
I talked to Peter also, and I said, when we start, before we do any grading, or when we do the grading, he can come over, obviously, touching his street. And before we do the pavement, come over, and if you want us to adjust something, we'll adjust it.
But won't
So
you
that-
need it on the plan, whatever you do for grading?
I don't know if it's
No?
gonna, well, the adjustments are gonna be kind of fine, you know? Raise this a couple inches here
Oh,
or something.
Right.
At 1 foot contours, you can't even pick up the differences, or 2 foot contours.
Essentially replace
In,
what's
in
there.
this regard, in relative to Larry, Graham, or not, since they're making just minor changes to an existing surface, existing driveway, if we could condition the plan, when it is approved, condition it upon the approval of Mr. Durkee, relative to any improvements out at East Main Street.
And even up the driveway.
Right.
I want him to look at
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah,
thing,
yeah,
so
the further-
he has a say in it.
Well,
Well, at least to the saddle point,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be all I would think.
yeah. He doesn't have to go, yeah.
I mean, he loves the opportunity to correct any discrepancies that are going on along his roadways.
I need
You know, and
deficiencies
this,
over there, yeah.
this may be one of those opportunities he gets to correct something. If there's any sheet flow going out on East Main Street now from your driveway, you know, to work on correcting that.
Right.
Yeah, even though you're not proposing any real changes to it.
Or we can mitigate it, and the trench will help to
So
mitigate
we
that
get
a
a
lot.
chance to correct it. And what I'm saying is, if we're sending this out to Larry, we're not looking at really the next meeting, because you gotta prepare plans for that, you know, rather than working with the town.
It would be better to work with the town, in our opinion, to
Yeah.
keep moving.
I would like to see Larry see it, and, you know, and specifically state what we want
Some
to
of that.
look at. Yeah.
And-
You gotta set up
I
an
think I'm
account
finished, thank you.
in that regard too.
I'm done.
Okay, Harry?
Yeah, just looking real quickly, I saw the primary and secondary, septic systems. Did you do test pits out there?
Yes.
Did you bid it?
Yeah.
I didn't see anything. It works out?
Yeah, both of them perked. We did them
Cool.
last fall.
Cool, great. Didn't see the perk test, so.
I don't think we submitted the perk test.
Okay, doesn't matter. Great. Tilly touched upon trail easements. And, oh yeah, Lot D. How did Lot D come about? Was that a child of the last subdivision, or was
No.
that a lot created because you purchased?
It wasn't a lot, it was a parcel.
Okay,
When the people out front sold to the Sextons, before they sold it, I bought that parcel from them.
okay, so, but that wasn't a creation of the 93
No, that was,
subdivision?
no.
Good enough, that's all I wanted to know. Form H and the M account, that's the only two things I'm talking about here. Those are my only notes.
Okay.
Form H, we have a Form H,
Yeah.
so,
So we'll get that at the end.
cool,
So you're all set now?
I'm good.
So I think, I've just got notes on the plan, and these aren't in order, I'm just following them as I kind of see them, check them off. I think the infiltration and just the crown and coordinating that specific item, I want to get Larry as our technical review agent, just to sign, check off on that. So that was one item.
Maybe the best approach to that is if Charlie and Larry met.
To expedite that, and if you, and the punchline is just to have Larry send us a memo for the file.
Yeah.
Or
What do you think,
and
Charlie?
Larry goes through
Yep.
He knows.
So, but there will need to be a small M account for that.
Right.
As far as the entrance tying into East Main Street, I was wondering if when you talk to Peter Durkee, if a paved apron is something to consider, for both parties. I'll leave that.
Yeah,
on
he
the
didn't
table.
mention that, because when we get to East Main Street, it gets pretty wide.
Yeah,
There is a paved turn there, but
and,
What are you suggesting?
just a small paved apron where you come into to maybe, to where the radius is done and it's maybe 15 feet into your driveway that's paved and the rest of it is
Do we
gravel.
have
It is
that
now.
yeah, it is
Yeah.
now.
Oh, I thought
it
you were
already
saying
is.
it was
No.
gonna be all gravel.
No,
I
the bottom is
misunderstood.
paved to the saddle
And you're
point,
leaving
and then
that paved.
once you
Right.
get up above the hump, it's gravel. Yeah,
There you go.
and you can see that on page 7 of the.
Okay. So where the house is shown and the abutter, the Sextons, I think when you look at the grades that you're showing there and the trees that you're showing that you're keeping, which implies there's a buffer there, and then you've got the proposed planting plan, which indicates there really is no existing vegetation that's gonna be there. I'm okay with that. If you've met with the abutter and the abutter's fine with your planting plan, then that's great. So, I'm just pointing that out.
Rob, I'm guessing possibly the tree line shown has the tree on the Sexton's property, and that's an overhang.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
the
they are.
plantings are underneath.
They are.
Well,
So that-
so to that point,
Yeah.
and that was gonna be when I got to the planting plan, but since you went there, on your planting plan, just take into account where you show the red maple, for example, that's a big tree.
It's in my backyard. Is it?
You're showing a proposed one.
Yeah, Okay. right
here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and you've got it right beside a small weeping tree.
Yeah.
So the
Okay.
weeping tree is not gonna be happy there, cause the big tree is gonna
Mhm.
shade it out very quickly, and it's gonna compete with it.
okay.
So these are little details.
Yep.
I don't, something to consider on
Okay.
that.
You know, Rob, this was just and the board, this was what I envisioned, but it's not written in stone.
Yeah.
Cause I might get there and find out I don't have the room, or this one needs more, or this is too much shade.
Yeah.
You know, I really try to look at what the shade plants were and what the sun plants were.
Yeah.
And I did my best, but I might get there and say, I need more color here and put more.
Yeah.
So, but I appreciate you telling me that, because if it's
Sure.
gonna be a waste, I'd love those red maples, they're beautiful.
Wonderful tree.
Yeah,
Get a big thumbs up from me. I guess my punchline is I was just offering that as an
Thank you.
observation, but Harry's comment of the buffer issue, and if, again, I go back to if the Sextons are happy, then I'm happy.
I had everybody over the house for wine and cheese and everything, brownies, we all
That'll
had
do it.
wine, we had a great time, everybody signed Larry's stuff, and
That's the kind
the
of meeting
neighbors
we
were
should have.
thrilled. They were thrilled that I got them all drunk and they signed, no.
Can you remind me why your turnaround is a grass paver turnaround?
Because it's not really gonna get used unless there's an emergency. So it made sense for it to be less intrusive than pavement or more gravel, but
Do you have any problem with gravel? for
it'll
that-
probably
for
have
the-
grass in it. But
Huh?
yeah, if it goes down gravel, it'll probably quickly have grass in it because it won't get used.
The only reason I'm thinking about, it's up to you guys. The grass pavers and the turnaround, and if that's for turning around in the winter and emergencies, you gotta pave, you gotta plow it. And those pavers are a real pain in the butt when they move in the winter with your plows. And you might find it works just as well for you as just having it gravel like the rest of the driveway up there. It's a maintenance question for you guys to think about.
Okay.
Just curious, what's the switchback on the landscape plan? What's that about with the walk? It just caught my curiosity. It looks intriguing.
At the bottom?
No, yeah, here, right? This?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, what's that
Is
switch?
there a grade change?
Is that what that
You
is?
got an
No,
elevated?
there's one coming out of the porch and the other one comes off of the patio.
They both come down the 3 steps.
Yeah. We're having a little patio here, a
Yeah.
deck, maybe a porch at some point.
And does that allow you to get it at a flat, at sort of a grade? Is that why you extended it out?
No, I just sort of extended it out because, so it looks good looking out of these windows, and then it'll just, go off into the grass towards the shed.
I like it. I mean, it just immediately popped out to me in plan view. It was intriguing, and then I started putting myself in it, and I think it's pretty cool. So anyways, that was just curiosity's sake. So those were, the last one was, I don't know if you wanna consider some sort of a gate for your emergency access. Handsome gate, you may not, but. you know,
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're gonna want us to do there to begin with.
So,
you know.
and you have some say, I would think, in you know, what you make that thing out of. It doesn't have to look like a DOT highway
Right.
gate. It can be a
Yeah.
wooden.
Yeah,
Be nice if the
Park
gate
light
was on the
gate.
property line potentially, rather than anywhere near the driveway, right?
Correct.
Have
Yeah.
have it up there.
Correct. So,
well, I'm not sure whether they're gonna try to get trucks in there, or they just wanna get close enough. Cause like I said, there's trees, which I can
Yeah.
take down trees on my land, but then there's another 20, 30 feet of trees on the park and rec land before you get to the Boy Scout field.
right.
So if the fire chief says I'd like to get a truck in there, we have the equipment, we'll put in a gravel, something to the property line,
Okay.
gravel path.
With respect to that, it looks like, what is this, 140?
Yeah,
Looks like about 50 feet, as soon as you get 50 feet off that property line, that trail that's within 100 feet of,
No, of the wetlands?
yeah. Well, that's 100 foot, isn't it?
it actually comes close to
Look
the,
at 4.
Oh, that's the buffer line on there.
Buffer lines of.
Yeah, so we're outside the buffer. There's the buffer there, Harry.
just
Right,
means
but
that,
as that path goes on.
Well, then
Yeah,
that's
it's
a,
not
that's
the
a
turn.
town responsibility as
Right,
soon as you
right,
hit the
at
line,
that
so
point,
if they
so.
wanna
Yeah.
file for it,
but
yeah.
they could turn it to get it away from the
Get
buffer
away.
zone.
Good catch, Harry.
Yeah.
I think those are just my only observations. So we have an M account and a continuation Form H.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, we can conclude that Form H tomorrow.
Yeah, okay.
Bob, can I say this?
Yeah.
The reason why, well, first of all, as far as that road's concerned, it's just a little dirt road. And we don't think that people will really be traveling over it. So we're trying to keep I appreciate your input, but my thinking is just to leave it natural. So like we don't have to put up anything for the new people that are gonna buy the house, and, I mean, they're gonna have to understand all this, but, to put up a huge, some kind of a wooden gate or a gate, I mean, I think it would just detract from the property. Cause nobody comes in and out of it except the lady next door, she takes her dog through there.
Don't get me wrong, it's not a suggestion I'm making, it's
Oh.
just simply, have you thought about this?
Yeah.
And then it's up to you how you wanna handle that, that's all.
You're not saying we need a gate.
No, I'm
Okay.
not, I mean,
We're gonna want one.
it's your call.
On the
Yeah.
property line.
I don't think
For
people are
sure.
gonna
Be
be,
used.
I mean,
Yeah.
people walk their dogs like my neighbors, but
Postage
nobody
change.
goes down there, you know? The kids you can see, in fact, all the fire from the Boy Scouts comes to our house, so I know when they're there, the smoke from the fires they build, you know?
Talking two different
I learned
things.
that
He's talking
some,
emergency.
No, that's
I
what I'm
learned
talking
that
about.
some,
Yeah.
kids will go to that
Yeah, I
park
want
and
it.
rec site at night.
Yeah.
And so
Might not
kids
want
being
one,
kids and cars and whatever.
Well, at some time, they lock that gate so they can't get farther down past the church. So I've been there where they've locked it.
Yeah, but that doesn't, I know kids will go past the gate,
Right, they
walk
will.
down, they'll camp out there and they'll have a blast that night.
That used to be a big hangout with the middle, lake. They would
Right.
be there drinking and starting fires. I know, Harry, we never did anything like that. But,
We
yeah,
saw on
there was,
TV.
they were all always there, it was terrible. They set a big fire in there when Pillsbury Lane was being extended. I remember going to the fire the smoke looking for my dog.
Yeah.
So yeah, the kids are always there in the water, floating on the rubber mats they stole from the United Foam. And yeah, with their beer bottles all lined up on them.
Is there anything else that the board, you'd like from the board tonight that we might be able to offer for discussion, or should we just go on now to the scheduling and the end?
Unless there's any other
Is
follow-up
that-
from
Nothing from
anybody up here. John?
No.
Would you
Okay.
accept a motion for the M account?
Please.
I'll make a motion to establish an M account in the amount of, I'm gonna say $1,000. It sounds like this is relatively
I would think so. Can we, in making that motion, can you just be specific of $1,000 to focus on
for review of the stormwater,
Treatment.
stormwater treatment affecting the public road? Because
East
that's the
Main
high
Street.
point on down,
affecting
affecting,
East Main Street.
East Main
East
Street.
Main Street. I thought we were doing the other
Rest-
side, because,
the rest is going on their.
because the rest is, so we're not concerned with that.
It,
I think we ought to be.
But you're not,
I,
maybe I'm,
Houses are gonna be
Not
maybe
really
I
changing.
completely
Yeah.
misunderstood. You're not changing, it's already paved,
No, no.
you're not widening
So this section here is already paved, there'll be
Yeah.
no changes from the
from
saddle
the
point
top
down.
of the
to
saddle down.
Yeah,
So
down.
why would we review it?
I don't know, other than Peter Durkee, making sure that, other than Peter Durkee rather than Larry, making sure that the installation of the infiltration trench, which is being added to the side of that paved area,
Oh.
with the presumption
Okay.
there must be some sheet flow down here that'll be treated in that infiltration trench, so things are definitely gonna be better.
So he's
I'll-
got to look at both sides.
so,
You can't say what's gonna happen with an infiltration trench until you know what the volume is coming
well,
at you,
his, well,
right?
his watershed though is determined by the high
High
point
point.
of the road. So that's the watershed that's affecting East Main Street. You know, you got this going to East Main Street.
No added pavement.
And everything else is.
So the only change is the addition of an infiltration
Yes.
trench.
The pavement's not getting wider there?
Not at the
No.
bottom.
No.
No, not at the bottom.
And, but
Same.
why
So
do you
that's
have
why
an
it doesn't make a
infiltration?
lot of
Because I'm
sense to-
presuming there's some sheet flow issues that are there that are going to be ameliorated with the infiltration trench. So presumably Peter Durkee wants to see something like that.
Oh, this was a request from Peter to have an
No,
infiltration.
it-
What?
Oh, the infiltration,
No, well,
No, we
mean,
did,
you just said,
the
you know,
trench was
came from the
designed
engineers.
in
yeah,
from,
yeah. It was, you added it in thinking this is just gonna
these
help.
guys
the
are
situation.
engineers and
Right.
do this, so
Yeah.
they added it in and you live there.
Yeah,
You know.
I hired the wrong engineer.
I concur, but
Is he paying
to
you?
make sure that the town is protected,
Yeah.
we just need a
Yeah.
simple
Yeah,
memo
yeah.
from the technical review agent, not
No, that's fine.
that just says, yep, this.
Yeah.
How about
So now you're
$1,000?
talking-
How about $1,000? My motion is to establish an M account to do a quick review of the stormwater
Management.
management calculations. How's that? That work?
Right.
Yeah, how about the stormwater management improvements?
I would just say,
Improvements.
yes.
Okay,
the
good way to.
Drainage improvements. whatever.
Drainage improvements.
So it would be beyond this trench.
Yes.
The way he's.
It'll be
think
from-
you're
We'll
gonna
say
have to
the
look at
common
both
access
sides.
driveway, the
The
entire
whole thing.
common access
I think
driveway.
you're gonna have to look at both sides.
Yeah.
That's getting something.
Can I say this? On the top of the hill, where the water comes down the backside of our driveway, if I may,
Going back towards your property.
going back towards our property, that, whatever water there is, if there's a real hard rainstorm, that water goes out that little road and goes into the pond that's right behind the church.
I get it. I
Good.
see that.
It just
I get it.
goes into the wetlands.
Okay.
I did,
That's
and
great.
it looks like it all makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just simply kind of.
Checking the
Good.
box.
Checking the boxes and getting it right. I got it right. Thank you.
what that infiltration
So-
trench on the other side would be for, but.
So the motion, oh, so I need a second?
Second.
Okay, so motion has been made, it's
For
been
you.
seconded to establish an M account in the amount of $1,000 for the technical review agent to review the stormwater management improvements only. Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting continuation date.
We have Form H is cool?
Form H.
Do you want a Form H motion, or you gonna just roll with it, or?
What's a Form H?
Extension of time. What is it? What do we say, December 31st? That where we at? Where are we? December 31st?
Yes, because, I mean, it's in quarters.
Yeah,
It's
make
September
motion.
30th and then
Okay.
December 31st.
I don't know when we're gonna be back, but,
What's the date?
No, that's the outside date,
Oh.
December 31st.
yeah, that's motion to,
Can we do the 13th?
establish the
What?
Form
September.
H for December
This is the regular-
31st,
He's doing the
2000.
extension.
Extension.
17.
Okay, I
I'll
got you.
second.
Okay.
That's all, we can't file for.
So motion has been made and it has been seconded to
Thanks, guys.
extend the public hearing Form H date to December 31st, 2017. Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
3 yes, 2 absent.
And, I'll make a motion to go, what are we looking at here? We need Larry to look at something, so we're probably looking
So he needs 2 weeks.
3 weeks.
And then it comes back to us and all we need is just a memo, well, no, so let Larry do what he needs to do, 2 weeks and it comes back to us.
Motion to continue to September,
Second meeting?
Yeah.
second meeting in September
Shoot,
25th.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be the only
yeah,
possible.
yeah,
Okay.
Pull it off.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, didn't we put another one out there
September,
tonight?
what is it?
Huh?
Didn't we put, well, didn't I already make a motion to move something to that tonight?
There,
We
yeah,
continued something to that.
yeah, there was one, it was the motion for the 13th, we changed that to the 27th.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not overloaded for the 27th
Oh,
at
okay.
all.
Oh, okay.
The
25th
13th is,
Okay, good.
We're gonna continue it now.
And John will explain to Mr.
September
Graham
25th.
what the board's looking for.
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he said the
Oh,
27th.
October,
September?
September,
September.
we're looking at September.
September,
September or October, yeah.
John?
Larry, yeah.
I'm sorry, so, the date we're continuing this to is September?
Yep.
27th, is that correct?
Correct, that is correct.
Okay,
Oh, okay, I was going to October.
No, no.
Thanks,
Give you,
Harry.
guys, give you enough time.
If we, no, let's shoot for September, and if we don't make it, we'll be here in October.
Okay, motion to continue to September 27th, 2017.
Second.
Okay.
Motion has been made and it's been seconded to continue the public hearing for 198 East Main Street to September 27th, 2017. Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
3 yes, 2 absent.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Carrie.
Nice to see you kids. Yeah.
Can I just say,
No,
that was
when-
really
when
well
Mike knows.
backgrounded,
Very.
if you know what I'm saying?
Very.
Very well backgrounded.
What's that mean?
Usually we don't always get the info.
Well, you got
Every-
this guy and this guy, my son and Nick.
Don't forget Kate.
And you just feed him, but what do you do for this guy?
Thanks, Tilly.
We
Oh,
gotta
yeah, well,
stay together.
You're right, we're the only two women. Larry. Nice.
Nice seeing you.
Miss you guys. Likewise. Okay.
Good.
Now we have one more item.
Do we? Yeah. Oh, it's already. Are we?
And it's, I'll leave it up to you guys. Where is the,
Very happy with John.
That looks like this, brother.
Absolutely.
well.
We're getting them in straightened out.
Harry, nice to see you. I haven't seen you for a long time. Come over, look at our project sometime.
We'll do a sidewalk
You
probably
guys wanna
before.
Yeah,
do a sidewalk or just come over individually?
just drive in the driveway and
We'll
walk
call
around.
and
You
You're
know,
not gonna call the cops?
today there was a 30-pound wild cat. I thought it was a fox
Wow.
sitting in, just
Oh, my
sat right
God.
down in our
With a
driveway.
Maine Coon?
Wouldn't be there
He
for
was
that.
huge.
Big, huh?
Yeah, I couldn't believe
30
it.
pounds.
Clearly it's a fox, it's not a cat.
My neighbor's cat is missing. Have you seen a black one with white tips?
No, but all the animals come to my house. I have feeding troughs out front. Yeah, It's a riot. Nice to see you kids.
All right.
Same here.
Take
Thank you.
care.
All right.
Night.
Thanks,
See
Rob.
you,
Thanks,
Larry.
John.
You bet.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so the last item on the agenda is the planning office workshop
Yeah,
discussion.
go with
open
John,
space
go with Nick,
residential
Larry, and I'll
package.
talk to you
John,
guys.
provided us. So, we're missing two members.
Yeah, we're missing two
It's-
members.
It's 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
I will, take it on to, if you guys wanna call it quits, I'm right there with you.
Well, I think what we,
But if you don't,
I know you're
I'm
gonna
right
run
there
off.
with you.
You mentioned, I thought I saw that you just wanted to know, do we wanna have a subcommittee? Isn't that what your question was?
Yeah, we may
It
wanna
just,
go.
John, I apologize, I shouldn't have gone that fast, you put a ton of work into this, and I.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing with speed.
Okay, alright.
That's fine.
John probably wants to get to bed too,
Don't
sooner
worry
or
about
later.
me.
Slightly longer ride than any of us will
You know,
have.
I mean, you know what, when it goes that smoothly and quickly, means it's organized, It's not torturing ourselves any longer than we have to.
Agreed.
So you've been so busy that you couldn't do any more than that draft that you handed us a month ago?
Which one, the OSRD?
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't do any more than that, because then all the markups that I made would be irrelevant. And we'd be in that same problem where Larry
Yeah.
moves forward and then they change the
Right.
plans and,
Yep.
yeah.
I mean, besides this, though, one of the issues we've been wrestling with, and Harry's been in communication with me, is getting the general code issues up to speed and paid for. So we're still
Yeah.
exploring that paid for part of it. And
Have you had a chance to talk to Phil Trapani?
no.
What's the status of that strategic plan?
I know the Board of Selectmen is still working on it.
Oh, I wasn't referring to the,
No.
You were talking,
strategic
yeah.
plan.
Well, you mentioned Phil Trapani.
Because he's chair of the Historical Commission. And there are some older CPC appropriations that were made for preserving historic documents such as the town code, digitization and electronic saving.
And the other thing is really going through the land use regs and the amendments that have been made to those that need to be incorporated also, because what's been done to date includes all the bylaws, all the changes except for the land use regs. And those have to be updated.
Code.
Yeah, and we have to get the old stuff offline.
Yeah.
So it's, the ball's in someone else's court with regards to.
Yeah, because of the cost right now. It's
What is-
beyond our budget to take care of this. It's in the ballpark. We've gotten the estimate back from General Code. It's between $4,200 and $5,200.
Yeah,
Wow.
I figured
to
5,
bring
yeah.
it,
That's
which
what
is-
it was before.
Typically,
That's
it's
not bad.
$1,500 a year annual that you have to budget, just to keep them,
To keep up his feet.
yeah.
And we put it off for 6 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's,
Okay,
that's what,
that sounds
that's
right.
why
It's
it
almost
is
a
so
discount.
Get you
Right.
now or get you later.
Yeah.
Right.
It's almost probably a discount.
Yeah, that was saving like
Yeah.
We were
$600,
just lucky
$700.
we didn't run into problems with that.
Well, we could be argued that we have run into problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean.
We had one problem the last meeting.
Yeah.
because, we had
Right.
the wrong calculation, form of surety.
So,
Yeah, we
Right.
couldn't deal with that tonight, but.
so, is the board comfortable with the motion to?
I just want to know, if I may, what is our game plan to move forward with this? You put a lot of work into this. I threw a couple of minutes into my comments.
I've got
When do we
comments,
get that? Yeah, when do we?
Tonight, obviously, tonight wasn't the night, and, we were lucky. If everything stayed on the agenda,
We would've been-
we would be
Oh,
here
We
till.
would still, yeah.
yeah,
We'd be
we'd
taking a
here
break to
11.
stretch our legs right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, we don't have the full board here either, so,
Yeah.
That's what,
Mm.
that's what I'm thinking, that I think
More
we
than
do
anything.
want the full board here to
Absolutely.
give you comment on this at once, not,
We may have time on the 13th, because we have two projects we have to deal with, in the regular course of business, the courtesy letters from abutting communities and vouchers. So we should at least have an hour to devote if not an hour and a half or two, to deal with
Sweet.
that. Yeah,
Nice. Good.
that'll help out. And then the following meeting, we do have a public hearing we have to perform, having to do with the moratorium.
Oh, yeah, right.
And it's being bantered about that we may not have to have that go to town meeting, the special town meeting. So that's,
Okay.
Really?
yeah.
Interesting.
In all likelihood, we're gonna be cautioned to go ahead and get a warrant article ready for that special town meeting, but they're still working on it.
Oh,
As
surprised.
as
Okay.
we
So
speak today,
the first person was appointed today from the Cannabis Control Commission, right?
yeah.
That's one
But
person.
there's legislation out there that says that if you're gonna do a temporary, and I was just reading this from Jonathan Eichman today, doing a temporary, it's not necessary to have that as a warrant article. But then he went on further and said, we
Huh?
may wanna be cautious and still
Have
do
it
it.
anyway.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Well, the town meeting is in October, is that correct? Do they have a date yet? October?
no, but I've looked at past ones and they've been as
Err
late
on the
as
side of
November,
caution.
early November. Almost coinciding with the election. day.
Mr. Chairman,
Go at it.
I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry,
yeah,
my apologies.
I
We can have
just,
discussion, we can have discussion.
yeah, well, okay, I'll second it,
Motion's
but
been
it
made and it's
just,
been seconded to
it just-
adjourn, but discussion now, go.
So, back to the game plan for the OSRD, what is it? Are we just passing
13?
information to you, or we're waiting for
No,
a special meeting?
what we'll have to do is, all sit down, go through it page by page with the proposed language and any additional proposed language, agree to the changes, and once we've fully agreed to the changes, whatever they may be, we don't know what they're gonna be, final outcome, but then we would have, we'd have to conduct our public hearing. In all likelihood, we're dealing with the Springtown meeting, we're not shooting for the fall, we're shooting for the spring to get that done. And then as we progress towards, the Springtown meeting deadline, we'll take up other, zoning ordinances, if this board so chooses to do so. So we may end up having 3 or 4, depending on the work we get done this fall.
It's kinda like the chicken or the egg, which one comes first, but would it be more efficient, effective, for you if there was a subcommittee that I, for example, take my red line comments and I hand them over to Harry or to Tilly or to whoever, and you guys take those and draft, but then they still gotta come back to the board for everyone to see.
Yeah.
Versus, we all have our 15 minutes to put our ideas on the table at the meeting and to talk about them then and agree then, so that he only does it once.
I mean, typically it's a subcommittee, and then whoever really has the time and energy wants to devote to going through it, and then the subcommittee reports to the full board.
Right.
We could,
In my experience.
Yeah,
and we could pick, we can pick a night, we can pick mornings, whatever works, for you guys, so that, we have time to devote to it. It's really hard to conduct any detailed business, because these agendas are busy enough, and you don't wanna be here all night, you wanna.
well, when you started, I thought it was gonna be the fall, I thought that's what we talked about, that's why
I mean,
I don't see that we have enough time for that.
I mean, if we did, if that's what we wanna do and we wanna try to accomplish it, especially if they have the November.
yeah.
If it's
It's
a town meeting
November.
in November,
Oh, okay, well, maybe.
we have,
Not in October.
I think you gotta move on it,
Think
because
we
that
have time?
seems to be the most active
Oh,
that
I
we've
get-
seen for
I-
a while,
I
is
get
the
it.
OSRD.
I mean, I think I thoroughly vetted it, and then, has any,
You hit a
you
lot of
guys have
spots.
more than what I put together, or?
Maybe 1 or 2.
I sent you some
Spots.
things to look
Yeah.
at, yeah.
Nothing extensive.
But I mean,
Yeah, but
I'm
I-
saying working
nothing makes sense.
within, I'm
Nothing
saying
makes-
with, working within that document.
Mhm,
We're
yeah.
not recreating a new section and wiping out this, we're just cleaning this up.
Yeah,
And
I bet
there
if we,
isn't a
if we
lot.
took a half hour and sat down and
Oh,
you
I'm-
let it,
I'm-
and we
Yes.
started walking through it,
Yeah, see,
I eliminated a section of it, is that what you're referring to?
what's that?
I eliminated, when I was going through it,
No, I haven't
think
seen.
we don't need that.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. We have to talk about that.
Oh.
But now, the whole idea is, we have the whole document, right? All we do is go in and we create a clean document with, strike-through language and bold print added. You know, we all agree to that, feel comfortable that we can we can handle the public hearing on it. And then, all you do after that is, it has to go to Eichmann, for his review
Right.
in preparation of a synopsis article. And you inject it either in the fall or you go for the spring.
Well, the
See
thing,
what?
the thing about it is that the zoning does not become effective until we have a vote at town meeting. That's when it starts. But the subdivisions, if you advertise
It's,
now, then it starts.
Oh,
You know, that's, I don't wanna get off track, but that's not, I don't think, correct. If you have if you have an ordinance that you've drafted and it's here and an applicant comes in and this draft ordinance is different than the written ordinance, if you bring this to their attention, that then works, that is legal, that is binding, if I'm not mistaken. But it has to be brought officially to their attention by whoever receives the application, that when these people come in with a new project, they are advised that the ordinance is being drafted as they speak, and they have this draft copy, and any changes, they're obliged to respond to at that point in time, if
The
it's
only
before they've
change is
started
that-
their project.
Yeah, you can do that, but what you have to do is do the conditions on your special permit. And if they don't wanna do it, and the board does, they're out of luck, because that's a condition that we want. And if it's too contradictory to what we have on the books, we could be legally liable for that, because they come in with your application based on those laws. And we have to follow them pretty tightly, unless it says in there that we may waive, the planning board may waive.
Right.
But it's, you can't do that, you're like, for instance, I'll give you, for instance, if we said, like right now, the affordable housing was the one on top of my mind. 5 houses or more, and then you use the affordable requirement for the OSRD.
right.
Well, if we wanna change that to the housing balance bylaw of 3, and we tell the applicant, we want 3, we're gonna have an argument. We are going to have a.
So that could be,
And that would
So
all come out at the
the-
hearing, in public hearing for the zoning change.
So can we
I'm
assume
talking
that we're
about
gonna
it.
so can we assume then that we're gonna come to the meeting on what date for this? It'll be on
The
the agenda
13th,
for
is
the
that when you
13th?
said?
yeah, we can
Okay.
bring it back on the 13th.
And the way we'll go through this then is we will go through each page one at a time and go paragraph, and we'll just go each board member so we can check these off as we go through with comments, and just, we'll do it that way.
A lot of cases, it might be as simple, maybe, in a perfect world, it might be as simple as,
He said,
how's everybody
13th?
like,
Yeah.
what John proposes to change it?
Exactly,
Okay, good, we're done.
exactly, exactly,
September.
exactly.
That might work too, never know.
Okay, no, and
Yeah,
that's what I think it,
Yeah, and just realizing that, there's probably not that many OSRDs that are gonna be coming at us,
Right.
in the near future, or
I
even
think
over
it's
the
just
winter.
some basic cleaning up that you did.
Yeah,
that
and
was-
that's what it is, it's just
Common
cleaning.
drives and
You know,
OSRDs,
the
that's
most
all we've had.
the most important part that's really confusing and doesn't make any sense is that it says in 2 locations in the ordinance itself that the planning board is the permit granting authority for all OSRDs. And then on the same page, there's a contradiction. When it's multifamily, OSRDs, the ZBA is the permit granting authority. But then there's very little possibility that you would ever entertain as a permitted use a multifamily OSRD.
do we want to,
We've never had that.
Right, it's not even, see, it's not allowed right now because multifamilies are only allowed in a district that isn't provided for in the OSRD.
Okay.
Ordinance.
do we want,
Yeah, we've
not
never
to
had
have
So you'd
him-
have to go to the ZBA anyway.
Mhm, gotta go to them first.
do we want, cause I think he's pretty familiar with it, do we want, John Eichman to also take a look at this? The OSRD? Cause I know he, you know,
Not
was
till
very
we're done.
specific, with how confusing it was. And he had a lot of, particularly with Bailey Lane, maybe you've already been in touch with him? Maybe it's just a phone call with John
Yeah.
to say, hey, John, you know, we're redoing this, I know you had some specific issues about the OSRD, could you share those with me? I'd like to take advantage of what he may be thinking
Yeah.
while we have the opportunity.
You know, and I've been lucky, I've had a lot of communications with him lately, and, he is quite the asset
Yeah, oh,
for the
Oh,
town.
yeah, yeah.
So we just send them, maybe
Conservative
after we
asset.
decimate it,
okay,
maybe send it to
then
him.
send it to him, okay.
Yeah,
good,
beat it up first,
okay.
that way he's not
Okay.
doing a double comment on it, you
Good,
know?
good point. Okay, so, seeing no more discussion. All
Oh,
in,
question, Mr. Chairman. I think I already made a motion in a second. I'm calling the question, if I may.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3 yes, 2 absent. Okay, great, thank you, everybody.
Great night, everybody.
Yeah, you too.